I just have to say a special hi to Jodelle.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
How are you? Good. How are you, friend?
I'm doing good.
Long time no talk. Long time
It
no.
is. Yeah, I was just realizing how long it had been. So,
Oh my gosh, right?
yeah, what, 5 or 6 years has it been?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah,
Were you out at the workshop in South
South Dakota.
Dakota with
South Dakota.
Jen's
Yep.
Yep.
Jen Zeller? Yeah.
Yeah, twice.
Oh,
Two
nice.
years. 2 years. So,
Let me tell you, Jodelle has made some images, and she's come to two of the retreats, and she's put these images up that are so striking. Like, just my gosh.
Uh-huh.
well, thank you.
You are most welcome. I like Don's cat. That's kind of like mine. My little barn cat, my little not so little barn cats, annoying cats. I love my cats.
Got a really nice
Bev is
group
back.
here. Yeah.
They're just happy I'm home now.
Yeah. Made it home safe.
I did.
Uh,
Excellent. Craig has tuned in.
Hey, Craig.
Chris.
Hello. How are
How
you
are you,
all?
man?
Good. It's been a long time.
Oh, it's been, yeah. Wow. Hey, can you move to your right or left for a second? Yeah, there you go, buddy. All right, let's go.
Yeah. Well, you can't see down.
Wow.
See right there is the humidor that's mostly full.
Oh
So,
yeah, nice, man.
yeah.
Right on. You got the party room. Look at his lights and everything. Jeez.
This is my new office,
Nice.
Jay.
Nice. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in true Black Hills Photo Shootout fashion, we got a regular family reunion going here, pretty much, which is awesome. Well,
Although
let's just
I
get.
just looked outside and it's snowing again. It's white again.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
serious?
Yes.
Craig, where are you?
South Dakota, northeast South Dakota.
Okay. All right.
I
Yeah.
just drove through that on
Oh
my
yeah?
way home tonight. Yeah.
Ew. I'm tired of it.
Seriously,
Yes.
you guys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it's
Send us
probably on the
some of
way
that
here.
snow. In the Black Hills, we're dry as a bone. It's scary. First time in
Wow.
years I haven't taken out my cross country skis. We haven't
Ah,
had any snow all winter.
Wow.
we got to get the wind blowing that way instead of over towards me.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, we have kind of a short window here, so should we just jump right into it here and get going? Looks like
Let's
we're
go.
pretty well set here. So, as you all may or may not know, Black Hills Photo Shootout this year, the dates are September 11, 12, and 13, and we're going to be based out of the Western Hills in Sundance, Wyoming, trying something new and continuing the tradition of exploring the whole region. And so, just in case you didn't know that, that information is out there now. And I want to welcome all of you for coming and spending time of your evening to listen, come and chat with us. And thanks for being Buffalo Trail Pass holders and Dawn Patrol Pass holders and past participants and all those things. So appreciate your support very much. So some of you, if you don't know Chris Dickinson already, Chris is a premier Western photographer, educator, photography retreat leader, podcaster, chicken wrangler. What else did I miss, Chris? Water leak fixer. His images are frequently published in celebrated publications like American Quarter Horse Association, Cowboys and Indians Magazine, Western Horseman, and Working Ranch. So that just some of your highlights anyway. So let's get right into it. And there are a lot of opportunities for participants of the shootout. Um, to what do you feel are some of the keys to success for a person attending this event or while they're out on their own doing photo shoots?
Keys to success. slow down, number one. You know, I know we're quick to grab our cameras and photograph everything, and I'm a fan of that too, especially on the spontaneity kind of thing. You know, I said this in the previous Zoom call, but I didn't think that I'd find myself out in the front yard in slippers photographing dandelions in backlight last night, but there I was. I hadn't been drinking or anything, just that light's coming in. But you know, I think a key to success, whether it be at the shootout or at any one of your shoots, honestly, is to slow down and absorb everything first. I like that pipe, Tony. Like that pipe a lot. um, Slow down and take in the scene. Understand, find where the light is coming from, and then get the best out of it. Whether that be, you know, something ethereal in backlight or some portico lighting or even front light or side light. Find what's going to work best for the subject that you're photographing. Maybe it's a landscape, maybe it's horse and rider, maybe it's just a person, but slow down and take in the scene and get the best out of it.
Excellent advice. Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about balancing between planning a shoot versus spontaneity while creating images?
I think those both go hand in hand. I guess I would look at it like this: you have to shoot intuitively first, or I should say, you have to shoot deliberately first to shoot intuitively second. So spontaneity and planning, we have to plan. If I'm going out on assignment, much of what I do for American Quarter Horse is that they'll send me out to ranches or they'll send me out to craftspeople, you know, craftsmen, and it's a matter of, I don't, like for a ranch shoot, for example, I don't get the option of going out to the ranch early to scout. These are all things that I have to do on the fly. So what I rely on is looking for light and being able to move myself around in a position to get the best out of it. The second thing, and I would say more technically, I'm looking for multi-planing. So whether that's horse and rider plus a background plus something else. You know, maybe I'm shooting through foreground interest, shooting across a saddle while somebody is tacking up, and then getting something in the background. Those are the things that I'll look at, you know, if we want to call it spontaneously, that I'll grab right away. Again, going back to dandelions and backlight. I don't know why I walked outside last night. I don't know. I was doing something, and I walked out, and honestly, I saw these dandelions in backlight, and I ran upstairs and grabbed my camera. Spontaneity. Then I get down there, and now I'm on my belly in the grass. How am I going to do this? I know that I want the dandelions in backlight. Why? Well, I don't know, because I'm a backlight junkie. I have a backlight support group on Facebook, you know, I like backlight. That's just it. So then the technical side comes in. All right, I know where the light is coming from. I know what I want. How do I want to present it? Do I want f4 at 1/2000th of a second, or do I want f16 at 1/200th of a second? What am I trying to show? What story am I trying to tell?
Excellent. And that kind of feeds into the next question a little bit, but during the shootout, there's lots of opportunities to shoot sunrise and sunset sessions, of course.
Yeah.
What kind of approach do you take to doing those types of photo shoots?
Sunrise and sunset, we know that you know, in most cases, these are the golden opportunities that we have to make images, and it doesn't last long. You've been at this long enough, you can feel the exposure change. So you get down to that last, let's say, 30 minutes of usable light, and now it's time to go. So setting up a story during those times, be mindful of the other photographers around you. pick and choose different locations to be in, and don't always go for the money shot. You're probably going to see a lot of people lined up in backlight, and I'm just hallucinating here, a rider at sunset on a horse. Maybe they have a dog with them or something like that. It's a beautiful shot. It's a money shot, but it's not the only shot. Work around, work in side light too, because that can be just as dramatic.
Yeah, and that's important at the shootout with our big or sometimes big groups to be mindful of where the other photographers are is always a big thing.
Yep.
And something I've learned at other workshops too is, like you just mentioned, don't get out of the car, set your tripod down in one spot and stay there the whole time. Get your shot or scope it out first, get your shot and move around, get different angles and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like what you said. So excellent.
Yep.
All right. And how do you go about simplifying the storytelling in your work?
Simplifying the storytelling, I think for me, comes down to that multi-planing. So when I'm telling the story, I want to listen to what the people have to say. So I don't know anybody that I'm going to be photographing out in the Black Hills, out for the shootout. I have no idea who they are yet. But what I do know is all the experience that I can rely on, from going out to ranches to photographing creators or whatever. I'm going to talk to them first, and I'm going to find out who they are. What's important to them? How long have they had their horse? Heck, what's their horse's name? Simple things like that. Understand what's important to the person, and that will simplify the story that you're trying to tell. More than anything, you guys, communicate with the people. There's nothing worse than being on the other side of the lens and photographers don't say anything to you. You're just standing there going, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you want me to turn? Do you want me, I don't know. Do you want my horse to bow? What do you want me to do here? Mm-hmm. Communicate with them. And then I'll tell you this, probably the next worst thing that you can do is look at the back of your camera after you take a picture and the person is in front of you and say, ooh, mm-hmm. That is not a good thing. If you screwed up the picture, keep it to yourself. Hey, you know what? I'm going to change something on my camera. Can we go over here and do this? So just communicate with the people. That is the biggest piece of advice that I could give you when it comes to storytelling. There might be the people that we photograph, the ranch that we'll be at, they might have a focus on reining horses, or they might just be ranch horses. I don't know. But those are all things that we're going to explore together, and we're going to find out what's important to them. And then once we find that out, then we start zeroing in on the story. How long have you been on this ranch? Is it the owner? Is it a hand? These are all things to find out, and that will start shaping your story.
And that's great advice because we have pretty close access to all of our models and ranchers and ranch owners and all that stuff. That it's exactly like you said, that if you're not talking to them, it gets really awkward.
Yes.
For everybody, really.
Yes.
I guess to let somebody in here, but Chris, since we have a little bit of time on one of the questions from last time, and you talked about how do you select. You've got your pictures that you've taken from a session, because sometimes at the shootout, we go back home and then life happens, and we get, a year later, I'll have somebody send me, oh, here's some pictures from the whatever session. How do you go about putting your story? You were talking about selecting photos before and narrowing it down. Can you mention that a little bit again?
Yeah, I'll just talk generally about my editing workflow, and then also, how I make, it's part of my workflow, how I make those selections. And from the get-go, it starts with it's expectations, number one. And those expectations for me start with assignments. So quarter horse will call me up. They'll say, hey, we need you out on X ranch. Jay, there's a couple people in the waiting room.
Yep, clicking on them.
Okay. Sorry, guys. It first and foremost, I'll wait till these guys get in here because it is an important conversation to have.
It kind of seems to be spinning for them or something. They both just say joining. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. So it comes down to expectations. Number one, the expectations are I go out on assignment and I tell the story visually. Normally, I would say 75% of the time, I'm given a rough draft of the story that's being written by one of the staff writers at Quarter Horse. That could also be, I will throw out Quarter Horse a lot because I do a ton of work for them, but that's also applied to stories for Cowboys and Indians magazine as well. And that, you get a rough draft of an article and that kind of shapes the overall story. It tells me who the people are, what they do, where they're located, the kind of horses that they have, and what's the story that we're trying to tell. Is it, one thing or the other? So starting with that, I go into the shoot. Now, I do the shoot, and it's usually a 2 or 3 day assignment, depending on the person or ranch that I'm photographing. And then I get those images back home. Whether it's, I don't know, 1,000 images or 5,000 images, I can get through those pretty quickly. My editing process goes like this. From the first image that I take to the last image that I take, those are all loaded into Lightroom. And more often than not, I'm a Canon user, and on the back of my R5, and this went for all of the 5Ds, there's a button on the back called Rate, RATE, and that rate button, the number of times you hit it corresponds to the number of stars that go into Lightroom. So when I finish a shoot, let's just say I'm doing a portrait of somebody. I'll take 5 minutes. I'll go over. Hey, do you want to see the images? Yeah, that'd be great. So as I'm scrolling through the images with the person, they go, oh, I really like that one. Okay. So then I hit the rate button 2 times. That gives it a 2-star rating in Lightroom. Almost half of my work is done in the field. So I take those images, I upload them to Lightroom, to my hard drive, and then pull them into Lightroom. And now I have images that are rated already. I go through those individually. They start with a number 2 star. And by way of example, let's say I start with 500 images, maybe 100 of those get 2 stars. And then I filter based on the number 2 star rating. And now I'm down to 100. I go through those images, and then the images that don't make it get a 1 star. And now I'm down to just 50 images. I'll show you guys this when we're in editing on Sunday, but I get down to whatever number that is, whether that be 50 images or 100 images, whatever it is. And then those are the images that I go on to edit in. Now, in editing, there are some things that are technical. Is the image sharp? Does it have good lighting? Does it have fundamental composition to it? Things like that go through my head all of the time. I have to think about what the magazine is going to use for an opening spread. I have to think about the portraits of the people that I photograph, because yes, we have to show the ranch, but we have to show who runs the ranch too. So I have to do portraits while I'm on location. Sometimes I bring lights, sometimes I don't. Just depends on the time that I have and the area that I'm in. So when I finish going through all the culling process, every image that goes out my door at least has a preset on it. And these are presets that I make myself. Over the years, I've spent a lot of money on other people's presets, but the truth is, you guys, we make presets based on how we shoot. For me, it's how I shoot, the time of day that I shoot in. My presets are based on raw profiles. I can't take one of my presets, and I can take a preset that I make and apply it to a JPEG file, but it's going to be extremely overdone because that preset is set up for a raw file. So going through, making myself presets makes me more efficient in post-processing. And then once I'm done with all those images, I export them out to a Dropbox folder, and that Dropbox folder is then the link to it is then sent on to my client for them to download and use in the magazines.
Great. Thanks for your insight into your process. Chris, let's talk. There's one person that's trying to, Patricia, when you probably have to watch this later. She's one of our regular shootout participants, having trouble getting in for some reason. So sorry about that. We're trying on our end, Patricia. That we'll try and get you in here. But let's talk about your sessions in the shootout, and then after that, let's open it up for questions and answers.
Sure.
Do you want me to just read off what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sessions
yeah.
are, and then you can comment on them? Or okay.
Yep.
And just so all of you know too, I am almost every day I'm updating the shootout website. So if you want to check back there fairly regularly, you'll be able to tell what the new stuff is and what was last year's stuff. But I'm updating that as I can. I've got all Chris's stuff in there, and he's going to be doing our keynote, of course. That's going to be called Framing the West, Composing Compelling Stories. That'll be the first thing. And then after that, Chris and I are sponsoring a special opportunity for all participants that want to do it, like we did last year with Eric out in the Milky Way shoot by Sturgis. This one is going to be called After Dark, Smoke and Shadow Cinematic Cigar Portraits. That'll be open to whoever wants to participate after the keynote. And then Saturday morning, Chris is doing Ranch Life in Natural Light. Saturday night, we have a thing called the Night Owl, which is an add-on for those that want to continue shooting after the day of shooting. That's in the evening. And that one is going to be called Aces and Embers, Western Poker Night Portraits. If you follow Chris's work at all, you'll have seen some of his excellent work in that category. And then Sunday morning, like was mentioned, he's doing a editing masterclass called Raw to Remarkable, Editing for Editorial Impact. So that's a nice full slate. And Chris, do you want to comment on any of those things, or should we just go right into Q&A?
Let's just go right into Q&A.
Okay, yeah, we got a bunch of people, so feel free to don't be shy, unmute your speaker and fire away with the questions. Or if you want, if you don't comfortable with that, put it in chat and I'll read them off.
I want to photograph Tony with his pipe.
Tony's going to be one of our models this year.
Nice.
Where did he go?
He's down there. Yeah.
I got to scroll through all my pictures. There he is. He and I were talking about that a bit last year in jest, but I was serious, Tony. Yeah, who wants to jump in with the first question?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'll ask one then, because I'm usually one of the quieter people. Chris probably knows that in sessions, and not as in tune with Western. How do you start out what's a good way to encourage yourself to start the conversations with someone before you start shooting? That's always a struggle for me. I'll tend to let somebody else do it and start it and then maybe say something. So any tips on getting comfortable with that idea or kind of the icebreaker to start it?
Yeah, good question, Jodelle, and I'm so glad to see you. It's been a long time. For everybody on the call, Jodelle and I have history. She's been to a couple of my retreats out in South Dakota, so just really great to see her again. Starting out with somebody that you don't know, especially when we're talking about horse and rider, there's I will definitely help all of you guys out when it comes time to meet the people, but just some broad overview. Working horses, um, generally speaking, and I'm please don't take everything that I say as serious, but generally speaking, a working hand and their horse are quiet. Um, my horse is not quiet. I usually don't take my horse out. I do, but my horse has a lot to say. So, um, but many of my friends, as working cowboys, they want a quiet horse. In other words, my horse is not a petting zoo. So before somebody goes up and just goes to pet your horse, they're not going to mind if you pet them. I would venture to bet that they would prefer that you wouldn't. So ask first. That's the biggest thing. The the quickest way to break the ice with somebody is tell me about your horse. Honestly, that is the quickest way to break the ice. Is there anything special that you do with your horse? Do you rein? Is this just a ranch horse? Do you do any cutting? Do you go to shows? You're part of AQHA, that kind of thing. Those are great ways to break the ice. And let me tell you, I haven't met one person that doesn't want to talk about their horse. So that's the quickest way, Jodelle, is
Thanks.
talk about their horse. What's the horse's name? That's an easy one. And then honestly, after that, is there anything, do you do anything, unique with your horse, like reining or cutting or, just ranch work, things like that?
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Craig, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm curious, how often do you run, if you do a lot of the culling in the field, how often do you run into shots that once you're back in there, you go, oh, actually, that one was really good and I didn't mark it?
All the time. Yeah, that is an all the time thing, Craig. I would say a quarter of my work to 50% of my work is done in the field by just starring my images. But yeah, I still take, I still have the responsibility of going through every one of them and making sure, just to your point, that I didn't miss that. So yeah, it's very, very common. And the inverse is true too. Don, did your cat have a question? I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding, Don. Um, the inverse is true, Craig, where I may have starred something on the camera and then I see it on screen. I'm like, oh crap, that didn't make it.
Yeah.
Somebody's eyes were closed or something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Chris, do you know if we'll be doing any indoor work like inside of barns or anything?
Yeah. Deborah or Deb? What do you prefer?
Deborah or Debbie?
Okay, Debbie. Yeah, we will be. So the cigar shoot after the keynote will likely be in a barn area, but I'm going to be bringing out constant lights, so nobody will have any issues with um, indoor lighting, if you will. And then let's see, the poker night. What is that? Saturday night, Jay?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Poker night will be indoors as well, but we won't be doing any arena work. Like if you think of a horse show environment, we won't be doing any of that.
Okay, I just didn't know if we would be working with cowhands, working in a barn, maybe currying the horses or shooting still lifes inside with, saddles or gear that they use.
Oh, sure. Yeah. If we, I'll tell you what, it's very likely that something like that could absolutely happen. That's just a common workflow of mine when I'm out there shooting. Like, for example, in the morning, the ranch life shoot, I would bet towards the end of that, you're you're going to see us move into some type of enclosed area to cover exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, I've done a lot of Western shoots in various states, so I just was curious because I get some really good shots inside of the barn sometimes.
Yeah, that is very much a traditional workflow, and I think Jodelle could even speak to that because we did that both times as she was at the retreats in South Dakota in their barn. But for everybody else, there is no plans whatsoever to photograph any horse show environment, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it wasn't really an arena so much as just, you know, inside of a regular working barn. That's all.
Sure.
And it could
Yeah,
be that
good question.
other instructors, maybe we often have a few other ranch life related sessions, and they may or may not be inside barns or out on the prairie or different scenarios. So we'll have to see how that develops.
And we have some silhouette work in the sunrise, sunset time frame.
Oh
Usually, yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
that's always good stuff. Anybody else want to jump in? We've got some time here.
I'll ask another one then.
Sure.
Sorry. I know one of the things that I've tried to do or try to do is to both look at the big picture of it, so the cowboy on the hilltop, but or in the barn, but also looking at just the littler things of the tooling on a saddle or the rope tied on a saddle. And I tend to vary between whether I start close and then broaden out or start at the broad picture and then go in on the close-up things. Any suggestions or tips in that area?
Yeah, well, I think you just gave the whole tip, Jodelle. Really, I think what Jodelle is talking about is exactly a mindset that I get in, and that's the master, medium, and tight shot. It's an establishing shot. So, what does it look like where we're at? What does it? I could take us back to I was covering the Wagon Hound Ranch up in Douglas, Wyoming for AQHA. It was late October. We had our cowboy teepees up, I don't know, 9,000 foot elevation. It was cold. It was ridiculous, just like, oh my gosh. And I remember thinking as we got into our teepees, it was, I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock at night. And, and I thought, crap, I got to go out and I got to show what it looks like having all the teepees there. So it was, by that time, it was probably 10 o'clock at night. I grabbed my tripod. I went over to, the side of a hill, set up and did a long exposure of the teepees lit up at night, plus a bunkhouse, and a Milky Way look. That's the master shot. That's our establishing shot. This is what it looks like where I'm at. And then you zoom into that medium shot. Who are the people and the horses? And then a tight shot, those details like tooling on a saddle or a saddle horn cap or people's hands. Some of the unique things that you're gonna find, especially in the Western world, is different tooling, different kinds of saddles. Like regionally speaking, Texas doesn't use the same kind of saddles that we use up here, and Texas typically, have different hats than we have up here. Montana regionally has a different look to their hats. I can look at somebody's rig that they have on their horse and go, okay, those guys are going to be like Great Basin, and forget about the buckaroos because those guys are just vain. No, I'm kidding. But when it comes to, let's say, photographing a buckaroo, somebody out of the Great Basin region identified very quickly by the flat brim hats, by a total buttoned up white shirt by a long mustache coming down. And then, oh my gosh, the tack that they use is so ornate. Where somebody in Montana, a working hand up there may just have a Wade saddle that's roughed out, has no tooling on it. They have a broken set of spurs on and, a half shank rope or something like that. You can pick a lot out by the tack and gear that people have. So, Jodell, back to your question. Yeah, you're setting a master, medium, and tight shot.
Great question. Glad we covered that again. Yeah.
Yeah, those are all fundamental to my storytelling. I have to show where they're at. I have to show who they are, and I have to show what they do. That and if you break that down technically, like Jodell said, master, medium, tight.
Excellent. Who else has a question? We'll take advantage of our time.
Have you ever thought of doing this closer to the bison roundup in Custer?
Yes, it used to be kind of timed at the same weekend because some people would do that before or after. We just been moving it around different locations, and it used to be based when the shootout started. It was based just in. It would alternate between Spearfish and Rapid City, between the two cities, and then when I took over in 2019, I wanted to showcase the whole Black Hills region. So we've kind of been all over the place. So it doesn't always match up and that kind of thing. But when it does, some people like to do both things.
Yeah, I've done it twice, and the friend that I'm coming with, we're actually staying like 2 weeks after the shootout, and we're going up to North Dakota to the Teddy Roosevelt Park.
Oh yeah.
And then coming back down to do Badlands, and then going over to Custer, and we'll finish out with the roundup, which is, I think, just a really fun day.
Nice. That sounds like a great itinerary. We did do a workshop one time up in Theodore Roosevelt, just prior to the shootouts. Jodell was there, and we did that, and then we went down to Black Hills and did the shootout. So that was really fun. But the wild horses out there, pretty cool to shoot. Have you been there before?
Did you have a question? Oh, sorry, Jay.
Oh, that's okay.
I saw that Dawn had her hand up.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask, how often have you an established storyline that the magazine might want you to do, and you go out there and you find something else that you want to tell?
That's a really good question. I've been trying to break this down because it's not necessarily. I'm not going in a different direction as a story. There's never been a time where they've sent me out on assignment and, oh, there's this, we're taking the story 180 degrees somewhere else. But there are many times where there are add-ons to the story. And there's a couple examples of that where they've sent me out to makers like saddle makers or rawhide braiders or silversmiths. And in a couple instances where I've been with these people, they've had a mentor or a mentee come in. And one of them just happened to be like a 12-year-old kid. Well, that brings up all kinds of issues for me. Number one, I can't photograph the kid without parents' consent. And beyond that, I have to have their consent to include those images for publication, in a magazine. So in that regard, I immediately have to get a hold of a parent. And there's never been a time where, they've gone, no, I don't want my, whatever. There was another time where there was a 19-year-old girl that was a mentee of a rawhide braider, and she came in unannounced, and I thought it would it would be a good additive to the overall story that we were telling, and that ran in the magazine too. So it's not necessarily done in changing the direction of a story as much as it is adding on to the story already.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
really good question.
Jay knows I'm one to kind of wander off sometimes and see different things.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah, I would absolutely encourage you to do that.
Yeah.
Do you end up
to that? Oh, sorry.
Do you end up at some of those instances going, oh, I want to come back here and do something on my own with these people because this is something else, or this is an area I want to explore more? Is it does it lead to that sort of thing?
It has, Jodelle. Yeah, and it's a good follow-up question. It definitely has, in a handful of cases where, like the Wagon Hound, I went up there on assignment for QH, and then the following year they flew me up there to do the sale images for all their horses that were down in the 4.6s auction. There's been another time where I've gone to a ranch out in California, and I'll tell you something, you guys. You're in this industry long enough. Horses will tell you whether or not they're happy. You it doesn't take much to figure out that a horse is uncomfortable. But when I went out to an assignment in California at a ranch called Lazy K, it was the things that those people didn't tell me that made the biggest impact on me. And that was within the first hour of being there. The way that their horses reacted to them and the way that they treated their horses was exactly the same way that my wife and I treat our horses. And I remember texting the art director for AQHA. I'm like, oh man, this assignment is going to be expensive, because we ended up going out there 2 years later and buying a couple of their horses that we have out in our pasture right now. So yeah, Jodelle, it definitely has moved on, to something or another.
Excellent.
Debbie?
Question on consent. On many of the shoots that I've been on, the people that we're photographing have signed consent forms so that if we do enter these in either some kind of national competition or have them published, that we have their consent, because some of those want that kind of consent. Do we have that in some way, in either a blanket form from the ranch or whatever?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. Jay, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Yeah,
I don't know what Jay has done in the past.
We've done in the past is encourage people to bring or create or have their own model releases with them, and then to approach the models during the session.
Okay.
And it's worked out pretty well. I haven't tackled trying to have for me to create a blanket one with everybody's approval and names and signatures on it yet. But so we kind of just do it individually.
Jay, would you say just generally have people bring their own model release form?
Yeah, that's what I've been encouraging lately. Yeah. And then just approaching the person. We did that a little bit last year, and it was a good practice for people too, that were maybe nervous, like Jodelle mentioned earlier, about just approaching the models and talking to them, to go up and do that and ask for that permission and fill out the paperwork and stuff. So we had a few people doing that last year. So
Tracy, did you have a question?
Yeah, kind of on that same line. So I'm just kind of getting started with my business, but my goal is to do like a lot of livestock or youth livestock shows and ranches and that kind of stuff. So, and I know a friend of mine is coming to this with me, and she does more portrait photography. But is there some, like, Jay, this is kind of more of a question for Jay, I guess. Can you send something out that, if we are intending to do something with some of these photos, to maybe suggest that we bring something. Like, I've never done a model release, but I'm kind of aware that I need to do it for some of the things that I do take photos at.
Sure. Like
What are
maybe
your
just
thoughts on that?
like maybe just sending out here's what a sample of a basic model release looks like, kind
Yeah,
of like that. You mean?
yeah,
Yeah. Because I
because I've
do
never
send, I
done one
haven't,
to kind of know what it looks like even.
yeah,
So,
that's a good idea. And there's kind of a lot of different styles, but sometimes there's some sort of exchange that's involved. So if you like the ones that I've done, I put like I'm going to send you, and this is a great thing to do, I think, is put in there that you're going to exchange, you're going to send them an 8x10 or some sort of print of what you shoot in exchange for them signing your form. So there's some sort
okay.
of exchange. And then what I do also do is we, our models, we have a system of the participants putting tips in a hat at the session, kind of passing a hat around, and then we tip. But I send out something in advance, like a suggested guide for doing that too. So
Okay.
those two things kind of happen at the same time after this session is over with, usually. So
Right. And I've never
yeah,
attended like a retreat or anything, so I'm still kind of all new to like what all goes on and what kind of the what's the word? Like the standard procedures of, what
yeah,
to do ahead of time and what to come with, like especially for the things that we're gonna have models that we are shooting and in practicing these kind of
yeah.
things.
Well, that's good to know because well, we some of us have done it so much we don't always remember that it's a
Right?
question like that somebody might have. So if you do have any questions, shoot me an email or whatever to her. Put
Awesome.
them up on we have a
In the Facebook
Black
group.
Hills Photo Shootout group, and the group is where you can comment. The page is where I post announcements and stuff, but
Okay.
the group is you can post and post pictures and questions, and but that'd be a good place too because then everybody can hear the
Yeah,
answer. And
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
yeah, that reminds me too. So since that was brought up, the Facebook pages and the blackhillsphotoshootout.com are good places to keep up on how things are going. I'm trying to get registration. My goal is to have it out earlier than Memorial Day, like I usually try to shoot for. So I'm shooting end of April or early May to have registration ready. So, but you can go on there now and see the things. I'm adding things as I get them. Um, at least class titles and descriptions and instructors, so you can check back in every once in a while and see what pops up new, and then you kind of stay tuned that way.
Jay, I wanted to say a little something about the model release
Yeah.
scenario. A few years ago we had an issue with one of the models.
Yep.
Um, and the what arose from that was uh, I had created some images that and then shared them with the model, and then that model assumed that they could just take those images and make money from them themselves. And so, and was not very pleased when I said, sure, here's the cost of that. Like it's going to cost you to license that for you to go make money. It wasn't like I want to put them on my Facebook to show people. It was I'm going to make a book and sell this book of your pictures of me. And so communication is really important on these things. So I think that that's something that we really need to make sure is extremely clear.
Yeah,
That if
and
you share stuff, we're sharing it for personal use as kind of a nice thing. This isn't a this isn't a business relationship at this point.
yeah, and after that occurrence, I developed a like very quickly after that event.
Right.
I have a pretty detailed and um, pretty precise agreement that I typed up I have it on a Google form. So, and I have all the volunteers before they can come and volunteer at the event, fill that out so they know the expectations and how it's going to all work. So there's no gray area. So that's worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
And I probably could, and as I'm thinking about that, I probably could include a button in there in the question, maybe that's a good spot to put a blank model release that they could sign. And maybe I could have some on hand too, as an idea, but we'll see. But for now, they all go into it knowing the expectations now since that. So
Wonderful.
mhm.
Debbie, did you have a question? Did I see your hand
Oh,
up?
I was just going to say that I've created a model release that fits on the back of a business card.
Oh,
So
great.
it's small, you can carry it with you. You can give them your email if you want on one of them, and or it's already on the business card. But I have to redo mine because I just moved and had to change all my phone numbers and emails. But the model release is actually on the back of the business card, which is an easy thing to do. And it's something I can, share with people on if they have business cards, how to do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I just did it through Vistaprint. It was,
Oh,
fairly
sure.
inexpensive.
And one thing that made me think of for some reason too is that whether you're getting release model releases or not, it's really would be great if each of you would consider, if you get a really cool shot or two of the model, to just get their information and send them copies, because I hear a lot of times when people promise that and then they don't follow through and they say, I
Right.
never did see pictures of, but it helps the whole program of the shootout and other workshops if you build that relationship with the models and they're like, well, I never see any of the pictures. And most of our models at the shootout, they just are doing it for the love of, and it's something different than a lot of them are actual real ranchers, and it gets them away from work for a while to have some fun. And even though we pay them, they would, almost in every case, they would do it for the fun of it. So, but it's
Absolutely.
nice to send them a picture, at least show them what it looked like. So, or get their Facebook and share it that way. We've been doing that with some of last year's models and things. So, all right. Chris,
Anybody else?
Where can people, if they aren't already following you, where do they find some of your stuff?
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
So just Chris Dickinson Photography. And on Instagram, it's CD Photog.
And I want to give you a shout out too for your tutorial Tuesdays on Instagram. Very consistent and very interesting what you come up with there, people's questions and answers,
Oh, come
and
on.
then you've got your podcast episodes too that are really interesting. So a lot of
Yeah,
good stuff.
when we're 18 and 19 years old, we hate anything to do with consistency. Everything's got to be spontaneous. And then as you get older, you're like, wow, I really like this consistent thing, man.
Yeah, well, I know on Tuesdays I can go look at your Instagram and there you are answering
There,
questions.
yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you for all your extra time tonight, Chris, and thanks
Oh, my
everybody
pleasure.
for tuning in and joining in. It's really exciting. And remember to watch I don't know exactly when registration will be ready, but it'll be announced on the Facebook channels and stuff like that. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Thank you,
So,
everybody. It was
yeah.
great spending time with y'all, and look forward to creating with everybody out in South Dakota or Wyoming. Gosh.
Yeah, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Yes, Sundance. Okay, yeah. So, good night, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. And I
Thank
did
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
record this
guys.
too, so I'll try and post it at some point. And Tony, I need to be talking to you pretty soon. And you too,
Uh-oh.
Craig. Yeah, it's
Oh.
all good stuff, Tony. But yeah, we'll get things set up, and it sounds like
Okay.
sounds like maybe you might be a good fit for one of Chris's sessions with the poker smoking
There you go.
cigars type stuff.
I love a good cigar.
We'll get Craig in there too.
And yeah,
Let's
there you
go.
go.
Let's
They've got
go.
they got the look going. So
Craig, everybody with the beard and the cigar. Yeah.
yes.
Hey, some of us can't grow it elsewhere, so you got to do something.
All right.
Hey,
Well,
I'm doing my back hair. I want to get my back hair long enough to do a comb over. I think that would look really good.
All right, and there it is.
on that
Yeah.
note, yes.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Scary.
Thank you very much.